Hello and welcome to this week's analysis. We are going to be kicking things off with DXY. DXY clearly has created a new higher high here. I am on the 4-hour time frame anyways. Let's see how we closed for last week. So last week we saw solid bullish push to the upside. To be honest, I was expecting, when I saw this red candle last 2 weeks, I was expecting price to continue lower, at least back to this gray zone before we push higher. But however, price is obviously pointing higher right now. So on the daily time frame, price is currently sitting around a strong resistance level. So I'd like to see price break out of this resistance level. This resistance level has been tested multiple times. If you look left around here, yeah, it poked out of these areas here, but now it's trading at that zone. So I'd like to see price close above that zone before I can be very certain that price is going to continue higher. However, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, it's slightly different, right? On the 4-hour time frame, price has obviously created a new higher high here, and you can see this strong impulsive move to the upside, right? Breaking new highs. So this bullish push is too impulsive for probably that daily zone to hold it, in my own point of view. So but it's advisable to wait for price to close above that daily resistance before we can for a fact say price is going to fly to the upside. However, going into next week, I am still bullish on the dollar index. I would like to see a pullback into the 104.118 area before price continues higher. So going into next week, 104.967 is my target on DXY. So next week I am bullish on DXY. Now let's go to Eurusd. Eurusd is super bearish also. I mean, if you look at this 4-hour time frame, price is clearly creating lower lows, lower highs, lower low. All right. So going into next week, my longer play here for euro dollar is around this zone here. Let me put a line there so that we can keep tabs with it. These green zones here, which is between 1.06971 and 1.06858. All right. So however, we have this 4-hour zone to contend with, which is between 1.07995 and 1.07876. So I'd like to see price break below it before, of course, we can make our way to this down region here. However, going into next week, I would like to see a buy to sell scenario. So an initial pullback into this gray zone here, which is around 1.08411. All right, between these zones here, it's actually a daily zone. Time will not permit me to go back to the daily zone, but anyways, between these gray zones, so I would like to see a pullback into within this zone. Stop loss has to be above it, right? If we can get a confirmation from that zone, then before price gathers momentum to push down to this side, break below it, give that zone a retest also before we continue downward. So for now, my overall target on euro dollar is between 1.06971 and 1.06858. So going into next week, I am bearish on the euro dollar. Now next on my list is USD JPY. USD JPY, if I go to the weekly time frame, is trading at a strong resistance level. I mean, price has obviously rejected that level at least twice historically, and now price is back there. If you are wondering what I'm talking about, look at this obvious rejection here to the downside, then notice this obvious rejection here to the downside. Now price is back there. So are we going to get another rejection down to the downside? Anyways, if that's going to happen, let's narrow things down to the lower time frames. Now let's go to the daily time frame. Now on the daily time frame, I have this zone plotted out to map out those significant rejections that has happened historically, and now price is back there, and you will notice that price is beginning to stall for the past couple of days. This is the daily time frame. So for 3 days straight, the last 3 days of last week, you can notice how price is finding it difficult breaking above it, all right, showing signs of weakness. Anyways, Price may still break above it. We don't want to rule that out. At least if price breaks above it, we know what next to do, right? We know that our plan B will be for price to break above it, then give it a retest, all right? That daily zone, give it a retest before we now continue higher. All right, if we continue higher, then this 160.000 will be our next target. That means we have this in this big space to the upside. Remember, this is the daily time frame. So if you go to the lower time frame, how many people move if this happens? To the upside, about 807 pips move to the upside. In case you are wondering where that zone is coming from, I'll take you to the monthly time frame. This is that, because if price breaks above this zone, then this area will be the most obvious zone, right, on the monthly time frame that price is going to be targeting, because that is the significant rejection we can see next should price break clear of this obvious resistance here. So you get the point. That was how I was able to say 160.000 is going to be our next target. So that is if this daily zone breaks. So wait for a retest and we trade 800 pip move to the upside, massive pip move to the upside. But for now, I am looking at the possibility of a temporal rejection. All right. However, there are so many roadblocks to confirm that bearish push. Number one is this obvious trend line here. Then number two, I like to wait for confirmations before I start making trading decisions. So I'm just going to refine this pink zone and I'm going to put this here. So I would like to assume that, okay, if price is going to continue falling to the downside, then this double top I see forming here may have to prove to me that it is valid and committed to breaking the neckline, which is around here. Right, so I would like to wait for confirmations. That's how I like to trade. I like to see market commitments. I like to see price commitments. All right, so double top, then I want to see a commitment from price, come down, create a new lower low, change market structure. All right, change in market structure. Some of you like to call it change in character or whatever fancy name we call it. It doesn't matter. But we just want to see weakness from the bull side to the bear side, right? So we want to see a new lower low created, which will obviously be lower than here. Then a pullback into that zone. I like to keep it simple. Then I would like to catch a trade from here, my stop loss above, then I will trade to this trend line as my initial target. Of course, I'm not going to be executing this on the 4-hour time frame. My strategy takes me all the way down to the lower time frame, right, to catch this move here. So those on the mentorship program already know how to take advantage of this. So my next target will be here. And before price gets here, of course, it must have created another level of structure. So if price eventually breaks below here, we are going to use that level of structure as our pullback area to now continue trading to my next target, which will be the 144.922 regions here. You get the point. We just need to follow price step by step depending on what direction it is trading into. So this is my view on USD JPY going into next week. So if this resistance above is going to hold, then I want to see a new lower low created here, breaking below this zone. That means we've experienced a shift in market structure, then a retest of that zone. Then that is where I'll go to the lower time frames to see my entry reasons, right? My rules of engagement play out before I now sell to the downside. That's my sell bias. Then my buy bias will obviously be for price to break above this. Let me even put a line there for easier identification. Will be obviously for price to break above this 151.897 region, right? Let me call it again, 151.878 region. So if price breaks above that region, I'll wait for a pullback. If I see my entry reason, then if I want to swing this, I can choose to swing it depending on how the market moves, right? So my next overall target, it will take us months to get there anyway. So my next overall target will be 160.000, round number. Right, so that's that for USD JPY. I would like to talk about GBP USD next. GBP USD, I'm just going to stay on the daily time frame and focus on this structure here. I will be honest with you, because I'm not 100% right about the market sometimes. Actually, when price broke out of this zone, created this new higher high, I was expecting price to come back for a pullback and then we'll continue higher. But price didn't do that, right? Well, I don't trade GBP USD, so I wasn't keeping tabs on this. I just do my analysis, then delete it from my chart going into the next week, right? When I do this weekly analysis, then I just delete it from my chart and focus on euro dollar. But that's what I would have loved to see. After price broke above here, go back for a retest and continue higher. But price will always do what price does, and we just have to realign with the flow of the market. And that is why we experience one or two losses around the corner, because if we definitely know what price is definitely going to do 100%, no one is going to lose trades, right? So because of things like this, that is why we lose trade, because you want to be right 70% of the time, you want to be right 80% of the time. As a matter of fact, if you are right 50% of the time, even 40% of the time, with proper risk management and risk to reward, you are going to be profitable in the market, right? But based on analysis, even if you're right 70, 80, 90% of the time, you're already doing good, all right? At least you already have an edge that you can capitalize on, right? So, well, it is what it is. Price broke back down, and it looks like we are more bearish than bullish. So all of this was just a manipulation. We are beginning to see big bold candles to the downside. However, I still have this last line of defense represented by this trend line here. So I'd like to see a daily candlestick close below this green zone and below this trend line, right? In case you're wondering where the green zone is coming from, this is the daily time frame. So I plotted it from this obvious rejection here, then we saw some reaction here, and we saw series of reactions around that green zone, which is between, let me put a line there for easier identification, which is between 1.26160 and 1.25910. All right, so I'd like to see price break out of that zone properly, right, and out of this trend line properly, right, break out of it, then go back for a retest. Then we want to catch a move here with our stop loss above there. Then our next target level will be 1.23305. All right, so GBP USD, that's my bias going into next week. So someone asked last 2 weeks that I look at Euro JPY, all right? So Euro JPY on the higher time frames, as a matter of fact, I am expecting Euro JPY to come to 168.456. That is if we continue bullish. That is where I'd like to see price come into. However, if we go to the weekly time frame, just like USD JPY, price is trading at a strong resistance level, as you can see. Let's go down to a much lower time frame now. On this daily time frame, I have these trend lines here. All right, so price is clearly in an uptrend going by this trend line here, and even market structure wise, I mean, price is creating highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher high. So this could be price retesting this level of structure here before we continue higher, or price may most likely come back into this trend line before we continue higher. Anyways, let's go down to the 4-hour time frame and get a clearer picture of what's going to happen. So here we are going to look at bullish scenarios and we are going to look at bearish scenarios, right? Remember, we actually buy or sell around major levels, right? Major levels. It's not like we are buying or selling just in the middle of nowhere, right? So price, first of all, is trading at this 4-hour level. So it looks like price may just make its way to this next target coming into next week, right? And if we break above it, then we are going to come all the way to the top side here. All right, so if price play out that way, then we are going to be getting a 482 pip move to the upside. Then I'm also seeing the possibility of price coming to this third touch of this trend line that confluences with this levels of structure here that has been tested multiple times. Looking left. All right, so if this play out, I'll be expecting a bullish move. So going into next week, we may see a sell to buy scenario. All right, so my most likely play is for price to come to this trend line below here that has been tested multiple times, right? 1, 2. So hopefully we get a third touch when price comes back there. All right, so that's what I am actually expecting to see next week. However, I'm skeptical about the JPY pairs right now because they are trading at a major level of structure. When this happens, I like to sit on the sidelines and observe what happens next before I start taking action. But if we want to trade what is right in front of us, this level is one level. All right, and that is we're on the 4-hour time frame. So based on how I trade, if I get my entry criteria around here, because I just don't enter because it's trading at a level, no, I wait for specific entry criteria. So if I get it here, if I was trading Euro JPY, I'm going to buy. But if it doesn't present itself here, then I'll wait for this level down below here, right, before buying. So the upside. Now, if this second zone play, that means we are going to be looking for a 644 pip move to the upside. So let's see how it plays out next week. First buying area where price is currently. Second buying area is below here around the 162.002 area. All right, so that is that for this week, guys. I'm sorry, last week I didn't send out the usual weekly analysis. It was due to some reasons behind my control. I was invited for some events that I had to honor, and that was why I couldn't make it in time to make the weekly videos. But I'm back this week again. So guys, if you want to learn how to do this on your own, how to analyze, how to execute, because like I always say, analysis is one thing, execution is a whole ball game entirely. So if you want to learn how to do all of this and manage your psychology properly, put your emotions in check, all of those good stuffs, we still have space left the Let's Trade Academy. So do yourself a favor and get enrolled in any of our mentorship programs and take your trading to the next level. And if you are yet to subscribe, please do so now. Like this video, and I wish you a successful trading week, and I'll see you in the next week.